So we are going to be talking about some of the best stats that you can use, some guidelines. It's an infographic that you can use to be able to follow for your major social platforms and knowing what is the best character count. What is the best time of day? How should you effectively post? How many times should you post? I'm going to give you the best references from the sites that I've brought it together, and I'm going to share with you where I got this from so that you can pass it on and see if this is going to work for you. So you might want to write this stuff down because I don't have this for you to be able to go grab. You can, of course, go Google and find pretty much the same type of content, but this is a compilation put together so that you can have an idea of where to go. And this, of course, just take some notes and it's going to make sense. Especially take notes on the platform that you want to pay attention to, really to cut down a lot of the figuring it out. If you could follow these guidelines and just be consistent, that's what I'm going to be starting with. That's always what we have to do, is be consistent in what we're doing, because we can't prove any results if we try it for just a little bit and then we try something else because we don't feel like it's working. Obviously, it's like, this is the thought process I have. And I know I'm not the only person, but I'm in the fitness industry, but it's kind of a running joke. I ate clean all day. Why aren't I skinny already? Like, you think one good meal or one day of eating clean is going to make you hit your goals. It's all about that consistent domino effort that you add on top of each other is where it has success. My name is Dwyer, and I've been helping people work in their home businesses for 15 years. My background has been in medical sales, applications, and x-ray. Actually, that was my life before. But in all the careers and all the professions I've ever done, I've always was that girl that just figured out the challenging or the most difficult aspect of a job and boiled it down to a condensed version that people could just follow 1, 2, 3, and they could have success. I did that when I taught and made up the cheerleading routines, and even into when I used to train people on digital x-ray equipment. I travel the world teaching people how to do that. And that's just the most effective way, because a lot of times people are short on time and they don't have a lot of time to read or watch a lot of videos. And most of the time, if they could just see something in concise, simple, step-by-step pattern, they'll be able to at least get started and see the result and then tweak from there. So that's why if you can create systems of success for your team, that's where you're going to be able to have greater success, because you're creating the Cliff Notes version for them. So I've been doing that for years and working with then entrepreneurs for 15 years. I started working with Chalene Johnson's company. If you're not familiar with Chalene Johnson, she is a New York Times bestseller, author of the book Push. Right there, I got 2 right there. So she's a New York Times bestselling author of the book Push, and I met her actually 1999, 1998 online, and that's actually how I met the 2 most influential people in my life, all online. So Chalene Johnson, of course, is being one of the most influential people in my life and my mentor way back in 1999. And then my husband, I met him on Match.com in 2002. So those were the 2 greats that I met online, aside from also you guys too. So the thing with Chalene is I was first working with her as a promotions director in my own territory, and I bombed really bad in the beginning. But then, of course, I learned from those mistakes and, of course, grew and, matured and also became more knowledgeable in working for yourself. That I really had to marry a lot of the skills that I was working in my medical sales and application job. So when I was off traveling as well as working from home, I had to know how to schedule my time and how to effectively do a lot of techniques. And it wasn't social media back then, way back then. But with Chalene's company, basically, we would recruit independent consultants who wanted to work for her, and they were only able to work for her if they were successful in their territory. So that was my job. I would manage about 60 people at a time, and I would recruit them, I would train them up, and I would always keep them accountable and keep them on their way to always be a success. Many of them achieved the top in the company, of course, winning multiple awards and many other things as well, a lot of other things. But that's how I started. And so working in the health and fitness industry, it was natural for me to join a network marketing company that was in health and fitness as well. And that's, of course, what I've done 7 years ago. And in the course of 7 years, I started when I was 5 months pregnant. I had a 1.5-year-old son. I had that full-time job with Chalene Johnson, and I had 3 part-time jobs that I was responsible for. That was my start in network marketing. And I had all this stress on me because I was a person that didn't want people to fail. So I didn't go out of the gate for my own success. So I didn't feverishly learn for me. I feverishly studied the policy procedure plan, as well as watched every webinar on anything network marketing that I could. I spent a lot of the money that I was earning for a top achieving coach within the network back into the company and hiring consultants because I didn't know what to do. And I wanted to make sure that what I was building was going to last me and that I didn't need to jump from company to company. And it's worked out. So 7 years, our culture is pretty strong. We've got the most successful, highest earning team in the whole company, the largest team in the whole company. I have 163,000 people in my downline, and many of them, 22 of them are millionaires, and 3 of them are multimillionaires, 10 of which personally work with me. So hopefully that gives me a little bit of credibility. Social media has always been a passion for me, and I really started way back in the days, of course, of putting a lot of content up on YouTube. So I was a big YouTube person and I had a different channel than I do now, but I put up a lot of content on YouTube. And of course, just learning through the whole process and now really looking at where is the meat of your business when it comes to building your own entrepreneur business, especially online, is online. You have to constantly study social media marketing. You have to constantly flow with it. So I gathered a lot of this information from SumAll. So SumAll is a website, sumall.com, and they had this infographic, and their resources were gathered from Buffer, Salesforce, Twitter, Dan Zarella, I don't know who that is, and Emile de la Cruz, but their own customers. They surveyed their own customers to come up with this. Now, if you follow Buffer or Salesforce, I mean, those are just 2 of the main big ones. I mean, if you're going to put any weight into the validity of these stats, that would definitely be something strong to put into. So this was updated for summer of 2015. So does that mean that this is going to be the way it always is? No, of course. But my rule of thumb and my best advice before we get into this is take this down, write these down, but then start applying them and start really paying attention to the analytics and the insights of the post that you're really following these formulas. And you have to give it some time. You can't just give it a week. You can't just give it a couple weeks. You have to be very consistent with following something so that you can see the progressive results over time. So let's start with Twitter. So many people, some of you guys aren't on Twitter because I try to tweet you following a broadcast and it goes nowhere. So do you need to be on Twitter? Let me first preface that by saying, no, you don't need to be on every social platform. My best word of advice though is at least go open up an account and get your name because you don't know if that then is going to be the next Mac Daddy platform that you should be giving your time to. So how much time do you spend on social media? That question, of course, can't be exactly relative to me because our businesses could be completely different and our goals and our outcome and our teams are completely different. So how much time you spend on social media is going to be relative to what your business and your goals and your team and all of that are. So you have to really weigh that out and decide where is your focus. If you are spending the majority of your time building social media content as well as learning marketing for it, then you're wasting your time because that's not where the bulk of your business, the bulk of your activity for your business should be in the activity that actually produces numbers, the strong content that can produce numbers. So that's where the bulk of your percentage of time per day should be spent on. Not on content creation, because that doesn't give you an immediate result. That just makes you popular one day. That's it. That could probably be it. Okay. So let's get going. If you don't have Twitter, again, you don't need to be on it, but I just again suggest that you open up those accounts and then eventually you may want to dive deep into them once you have other ones handled. Pick about 1 to 2 social platforms to really focus on to know inside and out. So pick 1 to 2 to know inside and out. Now I know because I train a lot of entrepreneurs, and the thing is I think a lot of people treat their home business like kids play. They look at it as they're on social media and I'm just putting up content and I'm getting friends, I'm getting likes, I'm getting followers. That's kids play. This is a business. You have to look at it like a CEO would. Look at the finances of their company and where things are being marketed out. Where's their time being spent against certain activity? Because if a lot of time is being spent on stupid activity that produces no results, then that's stupid. So you have to make sure that what you are doing does produce results. And you can't switch too quick. You just need to make sure that what you are doing is very effective and you have understood what you should be doing. So if you're a real entrepreneur, not an amateur entrepreneur, because there's still a ton of those, that you really have to look at this in a professional sense. Understanding how to market is critical. Now, I went to college and I got an associate's degree in medical radiography. And that's all I could go for because I was poor, living off the state. I needed to get a job. So I had a job. I could only go for an associate's degree. But I, at that point, went to one of those colleges that you study on your own. And this is when I was living up in New York. This is one of those colleges you study on your own. It's called Empire State College. And I bought business marketing because I thought at that time, and this was in the 90s, that I at least need to have a base of marketing under my belt because that then could be applied towards anything. And to this day, when I look at my two kids, so I have a 9-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, and I look at them going, well, what would I want them to do? I want them to go to college because, of course, I want them to have experience. But I really feel like you're in the technology and the marketing world is exactly where that can go in multiple places. It's not just a niche field and then you're burned and then you have to go back to college when you're older again. So that's something to think about. But marketing is always a tried and true. And what platform, that's of course going to be up to you. So if you're a marketer, that's what you really are, is you're an entrepreneur that is learning a lot of these type of techniques and understand of what creates a response. So let's go into Twitter. Let's start there and we'll create some conversation. So again, remember, I'm not saying you have to be on these platforms, but I'm just asking because I want to get a gauge on how many of you guys on here are at least understanding of the Twitter world. So as we go into Twitter, you don't use twitter.com. Okay? That's an amateur. You don't use Twitter by twitter.com. You use a third-party resource of sorts because that's where you can effectively market and manage it. So for instance, the one that I use is called tweetdeck.com. And I of course need to let you guys know that I'm not an affiliate with any company or product or service that I am talking about except for the one network marketing business that I'm in. So I am not going to get any bonuses from promoting anybody. But the thing is that I use tweetdeck.com and I keep it up on a secondary monitor. So I've got my big screen monitor right here, but then I've got my laptop over here on a pedestal. And that's where I keep my TweetDeck open. If you're using twitter.com, you are seeing this much of the story of Twitter. Like it's dumb. It's dumb. If you're using Twitter, it's dumb. You need to use TweetDeck to manage your Twitter. Or Hootsuite is another one. So Hootsuite is another third-party source that you can use to be able to manage your account. So for instance, why you would need that? It's because it just opens up your world into a marketing world. If you're just using twitter.com, you're basically seeing what people are all saying, what people said and mentioned to you, who direct messaged you. That's basically your complete functionality. But if you're using a third-party source, then that's where you can create different columns to put people into to make sure that you don't miss their content. So for instance, if someone's tweeting and you don't want to miss their stuff, you can create all these different separate content categories. And for instance, you can create a category that is specific to you following a key term. So say for instance, someone you want to follow talks about veterinarians. Okay. So if you want to target all the veterinarians, you put in a hashtag, create a column to follow all the people who are putting veterinarians in their bio and in their posts. And that's of course how then you can manage it. And you now know who to speak to. So if you're going to be using Twitter, don't just dabble in it. If you are going to depend on it for your business, okay? So for instance, I'm on Twitter and I've spent my time years ago really aggressively doing it, but right now that one's not my priority platform. So that I understand it and I can use it, but I'm not giving up my time to it. But I manage with it. So I kind of tag everything I do on other social platforms over to there all the time. So let's go through some stats. So to give you some stats, and again, write these down so that you have them. For Twitter, the optimal length of characters is between 71 and 100 characters. And the reason why it is important to keep them within that range is because if you said something good, for someone to be able to comment and retweet on your stuff, they then need to have space, of course, for their handle as well. And so if you're filling up the blank of the 140 characters on Twitter and you hope people will, like, oh, please share this content, retweet it to your followers. They're not going to, because then even if it was great, they have to edit your text so hard to get rid of extra characters so that they can retweet it. It's too much work for them. So stop the work for them and make it shorter. And you have to be creative sometimes in your abbreviations. So in Twitter, it's okay to use the U rather than YOU. And saying like THX for thanks. Because again, you're saving your characters over there, and that's just Twitter lingo. People know that. But if you use those over on Facebook, no, people will not like you. It's the same as Facebook does not like to see people sharing the same content from their Instagram or from Twitter. They don't like to see that little bird or that little camera, because Facebook are very snobby. They only want organic type posts. And so when you're sharing the multiple content in different platforms, Facebook people are snobby. They do not like it. So one of the tips, of course, and we're going to be talking about Instagram, but if you're building both Facebook and Instagram, of course, they're married and they're in bed together. It's a good idea to. Facebook hates you. I know it's a pattern with trying to figure out what kind of mood Facebook's in every day. I think that's the thing. So for instance, if you want to put content on both modalities, on Instagram and Facebook, I do it all the time. So on Instagram, my account, Christine Dwyer, is completely just my videos for my workouts. Most of it, should I say, not 100%. So what I'll do over there is I'll take a certain snippet, of course, because it's only 15 seconds, and I'll put it over there, and then I will edit some of the text. But I also will put that over on Facebook, but I'll make the text a little bit longer or just speak Facebook's language. But I'll then put the longer video over there too if they want that over there. So some things are very important to think about. So don't just replicate your information to be everywhere. If you are going to build it on a specific format and you're really using that format to build your business, then make sure that you are making the post fit that party. Okay? Every social platform is its own unique party. So if you can imagine a block party, so do you remember the days where like a whole street in college or whatever would be a block party? And one house was the toga party. And then the next house was the clown party. And then the next one was the zoo animal party. You know, they all dressed up. That's how each platform is. You have to come into each party the way that the party is being hosted and how you should dress, talk, and be. And if you're trying to come into a toga party dressed up as an elephant, you're going to be laughed at. So that's something to think about, okay? So here's some things to think about. If you're in network marketing, should I use my social media as my business name or my name? So we've talked about this a lot, Mrs. Ashley, in my previous Periscopes. And for those of you guys who want to see my other Periscopes, I've put all of them over a little bit edited. So I got rid of a lot of this chat over on my YouTube. So just go to youtube.com/Christine Dwyer and you can go see all my playlists. Go to the playlist and it has the live ones in there. But again, if you are your own business, you should be branding your name. Unless you own a company and you're opening for that company. But me, I'm in network marketing. I'm not going to put my name as something like relative to the business or product from the company. That's just not smart, because what if I leave that company? Now I have a brand all centered around that. Your brand is you. Your brand is you. So here we go. 20% of people, your content will be retweeted if it's less than 100 characters. Okay. So you're going to have greatest engagement between 71 and 100. The best amount of tweets per day is to put between 1 and 3 tweets. And the optimal, of course, is being 2. So now the best time to tweet to get the most activity. And we're going to teach you the mom technique right here as well. So the best time to tweet is at noon. And again, noon to where you are or where your target market is, with the most audience activity starting at 1 p.m. and just after dinner time. So if we're looking at scale, the greatest amount of activity is starting from noon through just down to after dinner time. And that's going to be your greatest activity. What I would suggest as you go into Twitter, and if you're going to be using Twitter, that you use a technique, and it's called the mom technique. So this was a technique that I learned from Chalene Johnson. She used to run a course teaching people on how to use Twitter a long time ago. And the technique is just be annoying for a second, just like your kid. So, you know, when you're in the kitchen and your kid comes up to you and just goes, mom, 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 mom. And all of a sudden you're like, what? That's the technique. So basically the technique with Twitter is you could put content out. So say, for instance, you put out your content once every hour. But if there's something really that you want people to see, this is the layering technique of mom, is you basically put a batch of tweets to come out all at once. It's the mama, all at once. So basically in the live feed, all at once, you have like 4 or 5 tweets that come up all of just you. And so one of them might be relative to one valuable content that you are talking about. So majority of those tweets are going to be of value and what your brand is. But 1 to 2 of those could be a call to action one. So you're basically making people see this like burst of you, and they're going to see, well, what are they saying? They're going to look. So that's the mom technique. Okay. Hashtags. Hashtags between 1 and 2. And it says right here that there's 106% more retweets for 1+ hashtags than without. So it is best to use hashtags because again, that's what people are searching for. And also the hashtags are just kind of cool. You know, it works because I notice I pay attention to those. Exactly. 15% more retweets with 1 to 2 hashtags and 11% for 3+. So that's why 106. Won't they think it's spammy? They will think it's spammy if all your tweets are spam. So it's only spam when you sell. So if the majority of your tweets that you put out, so if you put 4 tweets out and 3 of them teach, share, or offer value to people, and 1 of them offer someone a benefit to either work with you or have get something from you for free, that's then of course where they're going to pay attention. So it's only spam when you spam. When you're a salesperson, okay? So again, use at least 1 hashtag on your tweets relative to, of course, what your brand is and what you're talking about. But of course, one of the best things you could do is go see what the trending hashtags are. And if it's relative to your brand, make sure you use that because that's, of course, what's trending right now. And of course, you can go onto Twitter and TweetDeck and all of those to find out exactly what are trending right now. So the thing with, again, Instagram is that this is just, again, another social platform. So this is up to you, again, if this is going to be the one that you pay attention to. So you can't, again, be perfect in every social media platform. Something's got to give. But you do have to make sure that you are doing 1 to 2 platforms amazingly well. Okay, so if you're just joining, thanks so much. My name is Christine, and I do bring the shortcuts and the cliff notes to help people understand efficiently how to do their business and their home businesses. And I've been doing that in network marketing for the past 7 years, but with small business owners for the past 15 years. And so what my forte is the systems girl. I'm no nonsense, direct. I will tell you exactly what to do. And I don't like to pet your hair and coddle you along the way. Here's the information. It's up to you to be a success. That's really what it is. So if you just like someone to boil it down, if you ever said to yourself, just tell me what to do, I'm that person. I will boss you around and tell you what to do. So we are talking about the best stats for using different social platforms. And these different social platforms will create a greater return on engagement if you follow these rules and consistently follow the rules. So you can't dabble in them. You have to be very consistent and make sure, again, you follow the analytics on them to see how it's working. So that's another important part is don't just try and then try it for a week and it doesn't work and then you bag it and then go back to your old habits. Well, are your old habits working or do you want to improve? So these are stats from summer of 2015. And again, this has come from a site called sumall.com. So let's get going with Instagram. So Instagram obviously is an app and you can, of course, view it, and I don't really know exactly how you can manage it aside from Hootsuite. So Hootsuite did now just launch the ability to schedule your posts up into Instagram. So again, if you connect Hootsuite, which is a third-party source to be able to manage different social platforms, including Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, you now can schedule content to go over to Instagram. So with Instagram, predominantly, you have to look at people's habits. People are on their phones. So 80% of people are viewing your content on Facebook on their phone, on Twitter on their phone, on Instagram on their phone. So does that say anything to you to the type of content that you're putting up? If 80% of the population is on their phones looking at your stuff, it's critical that your content can be best viewable and have the best engagement by phone, exactly what Melissa just said. So the thing with Instagram is It's a big animal, and I can't dive into how to best use it because, again, it's a different party. It's the clown party. It's not the toga party. It's a different party. Okay? So you just have to figure out which one you like the best, TweetDeck or Hootsuite. I use them both because for TweetDeck is specific to Twitter. That's it. Hootsuite is multiple social platforms. So it's whatever you want to put your time into. Thanks again for sharing it over Travel and Fit Model. So the thing with Instagram, again, I can't teach you the effective uses on how to use it, but I did go through and critique some of the followers that are very loyal to my Periscopes. And I opened up and I went through their Instagram accounts and I gave them the hard truth on why it may be good or why it may be bad. And if you want to see that, again, go to my youtube.com/Christine Dwyer and go and research the playlist where it houses all of the old Periscopes that I've done. So just search for the one that says Instagram, and that, of course, is going to give you some idea on some of the wrongs. And again, I just didn't sugarcoat it because we all raised our hand and said, just lay it on me. You don't need to be nice to me. Just tell me what I need to do to fix this. Because again, why should I beat around the bush? I think you want your business to grow faster. I'll just tell you. That's it. And I will tell you in a smile. Now, I'm not going to hurt your feelings. I just want you all to be successful. That's the thing. So with Instagram, it is its own animal, and how you use it is going to be very, very important. So I don't care. I could tell you all these stats all day long, but if you're still putting up the wrong type of content, you're never going to build it. You're never going to build it. Basically, a quick one-liner to get a gauge on how to best use Instagram. Your Instagram account should be the magazine of what your brand is. Okay? So if I was in the airport and I took a magazine for outdoor life, so I bought a magazine for outdoor life, outdoor living, I would expect the whole magazine is going to be helping me be able to camp better, the best tools for camping, and look at the scenery of outdoor amazingness. I would expect the whole magazine to be about that. I wouldn't expect to flip the page and then see a picture of someone's baby that just started to crawl. Why is that in that magazine? And then you flip again and you look through and you see a picture of the breakfast that they ate that day. Why is this in this Outdoor Life magazine? It doesn't make sense. So your brand, I want to go camping now. Your brand has to be a magazine. And if you're putting life casting on there, sorry, it's not going to work. All right, so remember how I said Facebook are snobs with some of those little details, hashtags, and the copying of the little birds over to Facebook? They don't like that over there. Instagram, they don't like you. Bird. They just want to know the shit you're going to share. That's it. Okay? They just want to know exactly what your brand is about. Period. Because this is how they go through it. Oh, wait, like that. Okay? So you're doing that. And basically, this is what has to catch their eyes. And if you catch their eyes on one of your pieces of content, and then they click on your bio and they go and look at the rest of your thumbnails, and it's a train wreck mess because it doesn't match, they're gone. They're not following you. You're kid play. You're a kid playing on Instagram, basically. Okay? So again, think like a marketer. So let's go through it. Best stats for Instagram. It's best, and I'm bad at this. I got to get better because predominantly I focus 100%, of course, on Facebook. Lately, obviously, Periscope. I'm really building my knowledge and following and understanding best practices for Periscope. And if you want to join my accountability group on Facebook for my Periscope tribe, then you might want to go over to Facebook. And the group is facebook.com/groups/Periscope Performance Academy. So if you search for Periscope Performance Academy, it should come up. But if not, the direct link is facebook.com/groups/Periscope Performance Academy. So that is, of course, an accountability group that I started. And if by chance you spam, promote, or do any of that stuff, I'm kicking you out. If you're negative Nelly, kicking you out. So make sure you read the rules because I'm a hard ass when it comes to that stuff. I cannot not stand. Can't stand when people get on other people's content, OPC, and promote themselves. I will boot you right on out. That is so wrong. So you come to somebody's party and then you start handing out your business cards. That's just bad. That's bad. Okay, don't do that. So I will kick you out of there. And I will talk about you bad. No, I'm kidding, I won't. But anyway, okay, so Instagram, your best amount of posts to put up per day is 2 to 3. Ooh, that's my bad. I'm 1. So I got to up this as well. So thanks so much again for the hearts. As you guys know, tapping the screen gives hearts, especially in the recording. So here we are in the Instagram stats, and the optimal is 2. So at 2 is where it's going to be best. I will tell them. I have no shame in telling people stuff. I mean, honestly, it's definitely sometimes I don't want to have people who are negative in my world. So for instance, if someone's doing bad business or negative, I push them out. That's how I've been able to grow, align myself up with the most successful people in the industry, is by being in a positive sense, protecting my circle. And that's what you should do too. Protect your circle. Okay. So you should post on Instagram 2 to 3 times per day. Okay. Now I know it's hard because Instagram is very finicky that you have to put hashtags. So the trick with hashtags is don't put the hashtags in your post. So for instance, if you go to, oh, thanks, Shalene. I appreciate that. I am testing for my black belt on December 11th, which is my birthday. I didn't know that was the day, but I did my second or third test last week, and December is my final one where I finally get my black belt. So the thing with Instagram, again, is they're very finicky, and you want to make sure that your stuff is being posted at the optimal time, first of all. And that, of course, is where you have to figure out where your target market is and what time they live. Now, here's a site that you can go to that is going to help you get a gauge on best timing. So, for instance, with Instagram, the site is called Iconosquare. So, ICONO Square. Iconosquare. If you go to Iconosquare, then you can, of course, do oh, you guys are saying happy birthday now. We've got months. You can, of course, run the stats on your Instagram account, and then you can, of course, see when your posts got the most interaction, so you can get a gauge on where you're doing well, your statistics, what are the best filters that you've been using that people respond to. But Iconosquare is a great site to use to evaluate your Instagram account. Currently, to my knowledge right now, again, I'm not studying Instagram at this point right now. I still am on it, of course. I don't know if they've launched anything personally, Instagram, the company, that gives you the analytics itself. I don't know about that. So I know Iconosquare does. So again, best post for now is between 2 to 3 a day. And of course, find the best times that your market is on. So again, whoever you're speaking to, analytics on the social media feeds. Exactly. Thanks so much. So the best time to gram, as they write here, is around 5 p.m. with peak activity around 6 o'clock. The best days to post are mid-week. Are all being managed by each platform. So yeah, it's dependent, of course, on which platform you are going to. Good question. Let me finish that. It's dependent on which platform you are managing and running. If you're going to be using a master suite one that does have all-inclusive social platforms that you can just use it and run from one, or are you going to the organic site of platform itself? So again, you have to work with your own marketing and also time management and how you efficiently want to work and which is going to best work for you. So that, of course, will you figure it out. So you don't put the hashtags in the post itself. You put them in the comments. Okay. Because then you can also then delete those hashtags and put up another new set. But here's the thing. Instagram did change their analytics or value on your hashtags, and it's basically like very critical that you get them up as soon as possible. Basically, time on your post being seen according to your hashtags like that. So basically, it's like upload down. It's very short. So make sure you put the hashtags in the comments and not in the description, because you can always delete those comments and then put them back in a different set so that you can possibly pull from somebody else who may be searching. But again, Instagram changed a lot of that analytics. So again, the best time to post is around 5 o'clock to 6. And again, best is midweek. Just think about your natural habits and where people are starting to go off into, I need to entertain myself world. And a lot of that time, of course, is midweek, especially when they're, finishing up at the job and stuff like that. Or sitting in traffic in Dallas or LA or New York City. So you think about the type of activity that people are living in. That's where they'll jump on different types of activity. And they do. You may do it too. I know I do. At red lights, I jump on and see what the heck happened on my Facebook post while I posted it when I was back at my other location, not driving, of course. So those are some things to think about. Delete and repost. Yes, exactly. And again, it may not give you a lot more attention to it, but it could pull some other different people who are searching for those terms. Alrighty. So, and again, midweek, Wednesday to Thursday is the highest engagement. And again, these are general stats where you're going to have a better stat and knowledge of what your content relates to with your following and your market is by using Iconosquare, ICONO square. And that's going to be able to help you. So we're going to finish up Instagram and then I'm going to move on to Pinterest as well. So photos versus video. So this one's interesting because predominantly I put up a lot of video and I've been thinking a lot about this, that I really have to start putting more pictures up because I feel I'm losing the quick engagement. And it's mostly, again, because I'm being lazy with managing Instagram. Because as I said, I'm not heavily focusing on Instagram. I heavily focus more so on Facebook and Periscope and some other ones, of course, YouTube. But with it, I will use that content over to my Facebook. So now I have to really start crafting some more pictures over there because that's a quick win. If you think about it, would someone prefer to sit and watch 15 seconds, especially if they're trying to watch secretly at their job? Most likely no. So they may bypass videos for that reason. And I know you could just watch without the sound, but then that's kind of weird. That's like watching a movie with no sound. So people will have a greater win, not on Pinterest yet, just got on Instagram, okay? If you put up more pictures. So this is my goal. I got to start doing that as well. But photo versus video, 51% more engagement on photos than videos, and 95% of all Instagram posts are photos. So I got to start to put more pictures up myself. Hashtags. So we talked about the best for the hashtags. So you want to use 11 plus. Now be sure you do not go over 30. So for hashtags on Instagram, if you have more than 30 and you try to post them up, it's going to say, nope, sorry. And then if you didn't copy that, then you got to rewrite them all over again. So what I always do is this. I have a note of a lot of my common hashtags, groupings of hashtags that I'll use. So I'll copy and paste a group over and I might tweak and edit out certain ones to relate to exactly what I'm putting up. But that's the best thing, is to make sure at least you have 11 plus. So here we go. The stats. 552% more likes and comments for 11 plus tags versus none. That says a lot. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a cranky baby. I remember those days. But again, this is recorded, so I'm glad that you can go ahead and do that. So that's the thing. If you're not using hashtags, really know and understand which ones are going to relate to your target market. And of course, you can download apps that give you hashtag suggestions. I don't have, my phone is right here. So I can't tell you the app that I have that gives me an idea of certain hashtags that I will jump off from. So for instance, they have general categories and I will use a lot of them and I'll test them out to see if they do pull a lot of people. But so 552% more likes and comments for over 11 tags versus none. Better get to tagging. 19% more likes and comments for one tag versus none. 10% more likes and comments for 8 tags versus none. So definitely go bigger, and again, put them in the comments. Okay. So that is our Instagram, and hopefully that was a little bit more informative in terms of some of the stats and your type of activity that you're going to be putting up. And obviously you do need to make your images square because that's the platform. It's a square platform. So if you take pictures, maybe take the pictures in the square platform. Yeah, someone's asking what apps do you guys use for hashtags. So hopefully you guys can share, because of course I can't even tell you. But you can just go to the App Store and search and see what comes up. Grab any free one and just use that as a jump off for now or whatever. But just so you get the hang of it and understand how to best and efficiently use them. Yeah, so if hashtagging takes you forever, then put a notepad. Create your masters. And I did run a Periscope about how not to burn out. So go to my youtube.com/Christine Dwyer and watch the video on how not to burn out in your business. And doing repetition like that over and over again is the easiest way for you to burn out. So for instance, rather than retyping all those hashtags all over again, create a notepad of just hashtags, and you can just go in and copy paste the one that's relative to what type of content that you're putting up. So you don't have to constantly keep reinventing the wheel for your hashtags. So again, just make sure your images are square. And again, if you're going to be taking pictures, just use the square, or you need to get another app that is going to be able to square out your images if you don't want to square your original image. So for instance, sometimes I'll take an original image and it's, the size of whatever image is, and I don't want it to be square. Like I want to keep that image as big as it is, but I need that image to go over to either Facebook or Instagram because they need to be square. I will put it into a different app and then just save it as square. But also you can just upload it into Instagram and it will square it as well. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. Now we're going to move on to Pinterest. And again, as you guys are responding, just as a reminder, you don't need to be on all these platforms. You just want to make sure that the 1 to 2 that you are really developing, you really have a great understanding and you keep learning the marketing side to it all and the ever changing changes with it all. But I do suggest that you at least get your full name on these other platforms because you just never know when you're going to start to go to that platform because one day one might be hot. And Pinterest is one that is really strong. It just takes a lot of training and understanding on effectively how to use it. Again, it's not the toga party. It's not the clown party. We're now at the zoo. Okay, so this is the zoo animal party. Pinterest is its own party. You have to come to the party ready for the party. You can't come in dressed in your toga wear that you were wearing over on Twitter into Pinterest, into the zoo party. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so for Pinterest, again, I could give you a tutorial on best practices, but that's not what we're doing. Tonight, we are just going through the stats and understanding what is the best and most efficient way to post up on there. Again, here's the stats, but if you're putting up crap that nobody wants to see, and it's not the kind of content that should come to the party, then it doesn't matter. Any of these stats don't make a difference. You just need to make sure that you, of course, are creating the type of content that the platform needs, as well as that relates to your brand. So again, Pinterest is its own crazy animal. You got to really take some time to understand and learn that, okay? And if you want to have an understanding, follow my friend Natalie Jill Fitness. She has a training out there called Pinfinity, and she is really studied it very well, and she's made insane success. And she has a program out there that will help you with that. So if Pinterest is your next baby that you really want to go into, go follow Natalie Jill Fitness. I had her actually speak at my conference this past year, 2014 actually. I have a conference called the Platinum Edge, and it's this coming November, and actually Shalene Johnson is coming and she'll be speaking and of course presenting a couple times from stage, teaching us amazing business stuff that I can't wait to hear, as well as teaching Payo. But last year we had Natalie Jill Fitness, and she spoke on the stage, and I had over 1,000 people, and when she spoke about the techniques that you do in Pinterest and then presented her Pinfinity program for people to get, I swear the whole room before she was even finished ran. They all wanted to get it before they could beat someone else. It was shocking. Like it was crazy. Shalene actually took video of it and Natalie was shocked by it because it was her first time offering the products and she just launched it and she just stood there like crazy. They all ran like a big herd. So it is a great platform. But again, don't try everything. Please don't try every platform, just throwing darts at any platform because it's not going to work. All right. So your best amount of times to post on Pinterest. And again, if I would develop this, I would have to get a ton better myself because I don't do it at this frequency myself, is between 4 to 5 times per day. So 4 to 5 times per day. When you try to make something and it turns out horrible, like a special designed cake. Exactly. And I know the cakes because I'm a Jerry Rig Ace of Cakes cake decorator. I try to just eyeball figuring out how people do things and I just try to make it work. Yeah, so between 4 and 5 times per day on Pinterest. Yes, and you don't need hashtags on Pinterest because as it stands right now, Pinterest doesn't like hashtags. And so those are something to think about, that you want to remove those hashtags if you have them on your pins, especially the ones that you want to be seen. So if you want people to see them, then get rid of those hashtags. Okay. So between 4 and 5 posts per day. Schedule your pins between 2 to 4 p.m. and after 8 p.m. Again, think about the natural habits of the people that are on there, your target market, your niche, and when they would be on there. Okay. So avoid mornings and dinner time. Because think about the general audience. Who's predominantly on Pinterest? Predominantly women. Well, a lot of women are on Pinterest. And so obviously a lot of women have kids. And so that's where they're going to be at the busiest, you know, getting the kids off and getting the day on the way and doing whatever they got to do in the morning, maybe even going to work, as well as then in the dinner time, that dinner time shuffle. That's the reason why I don't do anything usually around that time, because I'm in the shuffle of carting kids to sports and doing dinners and bedtimes and stuff like that. So you got to look at the lifestyle of who the people are. And that's, of course, where your target market is, and try to follow that pattern. So again, schedule between 2 to 4 p.m. and after 8, avoiding the mornings and the dinner. And the best days are midweek and what day. So pick a day of the week that you think is the best day to pin on Pinterest. Sunday. Think about it. Well, especially, not to stereotype anyone, first of all, but a lot of the habits, again, is, lazy Sunday days. That could be one reason. I know myself, I like to just sit on the couch and I'll have my phone or an iPad there while I'm watching all my DVR shows. And I'll jump on and search something and then jump off. And then maybe the Sundays are the sport days, where the spouse goes and watches sports or whatever. So that's the thing. And also, that's majority of the time when there are parents, either swapping parents because of shared custody, or that is where there's 2 at home, maybe with the person. So the majority of people would be available on Sunday because, again, it's predominantly women that are on there. So that's something, again, to consider. Okay? Pin height. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, you shouldn't be on Pinterest right now. Focus on what you're very good at and really kill that. But basically, pin height is the length of how long your image is, because, of course, if you could follow the best pin height, you're going to get seen better as well. So the best pin height is 800 plus pixels. Okay? What to post business-wise, though? Again, I can't tell you exactly that because I don't know your brand. It has to be relative to your brand and everything about every part of it. So don't think about one major topic. Like, so for instance, don't put up there marketing. Here's a marketing board, because marketing is so general. You could break down marketing into different types of categories, so that's what you got to look at it, is don't just think a broad scale. You got to think about diving deep into it. And of course, honing your own. So again, the pin height, the maximum height is 800 plus. Okay. So no, I didn't do the Facebook yet because I knew that's what you guys want. Okay. So, and the best width, of course, is 735 width. All right. So of course you can find different sites that can create these images for you as well. But definitely those are going to be the best one. Description. The best amount of characters within the description of your pin is 320 characters. There tends to be a drop off in repins when your characters get over 400. So I wrote up a letter count for the Facebook one so you can get a gauge on what type of a sentence would be a certain letter character. So when I get to Facebook, remind me if I don't tell you what kind of a sentence would be the best type of character count so you can get a gauge. And for hashtags, 0 to 1. So stay at the 0 time. I'm going to quickly do LinkedIn because it's 2 seconds. Again, I don't need to ask if you guys are going to be on LinkedIn. So the best for LinkedIn is between 1 to 2 posts per day. The busiest time on LinkedIn is midday on weekdays. Again, most business professionals go to the right party. Okay. So now this party is a scuba party. Everyone's dressed in scuba attire. So LinkedIn is its own party, and then predominantly over there are professionals, entrepreneurs, business professionals. And again, look at their life and their activity and their availability. So the business time on LinkedIn is midday on weekdays. Midday on weekdays. Lunchtime. They're always looking for a new job, right? Kidding. They're looking for a new job, or they're looking for new contacts for their business, whatever it is. Avoid weekends and evenings, obviously. Okay. So if you're going to put up your content, make sure that you go ahead and do that. And the best post length is between 24 words. So 24 words is your optimal post length. So right here are some stats. 22% of the audience reach per single post. 51% of businesses have LinkedIn pages. 276% are more page referrals from LinkedIn than Facebook. That's a pretty big stat. And 58% of LinkedIn users are active monthly. All right. So it's a platform that if that's up your alley, don't ignore it. But again, don't try to spread yourself too thin in doing all these different platforms, because then again, you will just suck it all. You can't be the master of them all. You have to be the master of some because they change all the time. So are you ready for Facebook? Again, these are the best tips. These are guidelines for you to follow. And again, this is generality, but the only way for you to know exactly if these are going to be efficient and working for you is to be very consistent and don't bag up on it too quick. So make sure that you're following this, give it a time frame that you give for a long amount of consistency so that you can watch your analytics to see how is this working now? Am I getting a greater engagement? And honestly, I can't tell you the tried and true 100% guarantee on how to always get engagement on Facebook, because a lot of the times I still follow the best rules and practices, but then all of a sudden for like days at a time, my engagement on my posts goes way the heck down. And I may be putting up the same kind of content that people really want, and I'm putting it in the prime time and everything, but it's just not getting seen. And again, I just really think that Facebook constantly changes their algorithms and their analytics for how we efficiently use it, because I think that they constantly want us to, first of all, invest more money, of course, and you do need to pay to play, because obviously this is a business. So if you're griping about your stuff not being seen and you're trying to build your business completely free, well then this is a social platform. You're going to have to expect that you're going to have to put marketing money out there. So that, of course, is marketing money. Okay. So that's the thing with Facebook. Again, just be very consistent. Why do you choose Hootsuite versus Buffer and others? I personally don't use Buffer. I believe you have to pay for Buffer. Hootsuite, I'm just using the free version, but if you had the maxed out version with the paying, I believe you can then integrate all your social platforms in there, so you're not limited to a certain amount, as well as there's a lot more functionality. My advice is go figure out which one works for your brain. So for instance, when I use TweetDeck for my Twitter account, I use the black screen for it because the white screen just doesn't compute in my brain. So it's a matter of how does your brain work to be able to function through the different types of platforms. Go search and do reviews on it. That's it. You can't just go off of someone's suggestion. You got to know for that. So we're not going to be talking about how to boost and, of course, running the best practices for Facebook. But again, that's a completely different topic. And of course, we want to make sure that we go through this type of content. So let's go through some of the stats as we wrap this up. This is something, of course, that is going to be, you might need to make some changes and see how it works. So I know I'm guilty of this, that I can sometimes put a lot longer information than I need to be. And it's not saying, so let me again give you this tip. So these are general guidelines, and not every single post you put up has to follow these guidelines. So for instance, if you want to put up a longer post because you need to tell more of the story or you're drawing people in, whatever the case might be, you can go for that. But if you're looking at trying to really make sure that you're following some of the guidelines and rules to really keep that engagement and build your following, then of course, keep trying to follow these rules to see that response. But you could still litter it out there with your normal longer content as well. Just pay attention though to the analytics of it all, because sometimes that long content is going to be needed because people need to have more of the information as well as they need to get to know you for real. Okay. So the best and optimal length for a Facebook text post. So when you're putting up your text in the post, how many characters? Take a guess. Here is a sentence for you. The sentence is, what has inspired you today to take action towards your goals? That's a sentence. What has inspired you today to take action towards your goals? That is 62 characters. Okay? That is 62 characters. The optimal characters to put on Facebook are between 20 to 80. 20 to 80 is the optimal amount of characters. So that sentence that I just said was only 62. All right, so 80% more engagement for Facebook posts under 40 characters. Under 40. So you're going to have 80% more engagement on your post if you post under 40. All right, so I just wrote, what has inspired you today with your goals? And that was 44. So what has inspired you today with your goals? I'm not saying exactly with or without a picture. So again, this is just the stats coming out with the actual text. So again, 80% more engagement for Facebook posts with under 40 characters. So between 20 and 80 is where you should want to sit. But again, you really drop off engagement when they go 81 and above. And again, this is a guideline. So some of your posts that have a lot of verbiage on it, can get a lot of engagement. Again, it's relative to what is that about? What is that content that you're sharing? Because it may be something that is really important and should go viral. But if, again, you're looking at how people are using the platform, they're predominantly using it by their phone. So if they're sitting at a red light or in a grocery line and they open their news feed, they're going through and they want to see as quick as they can, as much updates as they can from variable people in the short amount of time that they have available. So that's why sometimes just keeping them super short can capture their attention and engagement. They may like it more, they may share it faster because it didn't take them a long time to be able to process it. Okay? So that's, again, something to consider. That's all this is, something to consider. And optimal posts, again, we talked about this just a little earlier. Again, this is just a general guideline, and it relates again to how many people you have on your following as well. But here it says between 1 and 2 posts per day. 1 and 2 posts per day. Optimally is 2, and you really get a drop of engagement when it's 4 or more. So again, something to consider and to try to test out. Okay? So again, between 1 and 2 posts per day, and you have a high drop off after 4. The best time to post on Facebook is between noon and 1, as well as before the dinner rush. So again, look at the type of activity that a lot of people are on. Now, I'm really thinking that a lot of people, again, are for mine. So again, I follow the analytics to see, again, where are my people on? And they're predominantly on at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. So that's because who my market is. So I got a lot of people who are just like me with kids and jobs. And that's now when they get their moment to tune people out and be able to do kind of what they want to do on social platform. So again, 9 p.m. is my optimal time to be able to post. And so for me, hey there, Kevin. So for me, posting in the morning, I'm not getting much activity at all. But again, you want to just, again, play with this and pay attention to the analytics so that you can really see. Sorry, you're half asleep. Sorry to be boring you. Maybe I should start yelling at you guys. Okay, so that is your best on that, as well as hashtags. Now let's go through hashtags. Hashtags, Facebook. Well, Facebook's not really playing that game too well, should we say? And they were kind of dabbly a little with it, but hashtags between 0 and 1. So now, my husband does not use social media for business. He does it for pure entertainment value. And he loves making jokes and sarcasm through his funny hashtags. So he makes those hashtags that you got to read them where they're jokes. That's what he loves to do. So he's not doing it the right way. And I yell at him all the time, that doesn't build business. So the thing is of course, you want to make sure that you're not using hashtags because Facebook doesn't really like it. So if you're going to be using Facebook with hashtags, then you may actually decrease the engagement on those posts. Something to consider. Again, consider. That's it. 34% more likes and comments for tagless posts. So 34% more likes and comments for tagless posts. 31% drop in post engagement for each tag. Ooh, 31% drop in post engagement for each tag. Yikes. 287% drop in post engagement if you have 10 plus tags. So, are you taking what you put over on Twitter with your hashtags or your Instagram with your hashtags and replicating it over to Facebook? Because I know Instagram has that feature where you can replicate what you post over there automatically to go over on your Facebook page. So for those of you who are putting your hashtags in your description in Instagram and then you tell it to go over to Facebook, you now just put the Instagram camera over there, which Facebook hates first of all. And then the other thing is the hashtags, which Facebook hates all over there too. So 287% drop if you have 10 plus hashtags. So kill it. And if you want to join the Periscope accountability group, we have one over on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/Periscope Performance Academy. So again, you can go and request to join. But if you break the rules of my group, I'm kicking you out and I'm making fun of you on Periscope. I will call you out and make fun of you so hard for being a slimy, slalesy person. So that's the thing. And also, if you want to watch all my previously Periscope recordings, I have them edited over on my youtube.com/Christine Dwyer. And if you want to find out more about how I can personally mentor you, I only personally mentor people directly if they're working directly with me in my network marketing business. Because of course, I cannot spread myself too thin and mentor the world personally. That's why I do this virtual mentorship. I like to give a lot of training like this. And again, with Periscope being out, I've been doing it daily. So make sure that you go ahead and watch the broadcast as well as go to my YouTube channel. But if you want to find out more about coaching and working with me, then you can go to livefitoutloud.com. And then, of course, I can send you a video to let you know exactly what I do with coaching. And it is, of course, with Team Beachbody.